Hey everybody, this is Balance from WCReplays.com. This is copyrighted, so don't steal it. So, I just got back from a little bit of a vacation, and then the 1.21 patch hit, and there were no replays to do, because nobody had played any games in 1.21 yet. But this last weekend was the BNet Season 4 Finals, combined with the WC3L Finals, a huge weekend for Warcraft 3, tons of great games. So I've been going over the replays, and I found one that I want to commentate. It's actually not from the later rounds of any of these, but it is a Night Elf Mirror, which is a matchup that I've been wanting to get around to commentating. That was my old job. Commentating. I feel like Night Elf Mirror is really interesting. There's a lot to it. Nobody really has it down to a science. There are a lot of viable strategies, and there's just a lot to be learned from any top-level Night Elf Mirror game. Something that I'm probably going to be doing a lot of commentaries on in the future. So we'll go ahead and get this started with this particular game, which is the Game 1 of Sauce vs. Reminds from this weekend, which was the preliminary rounds of the BNet Season 4. It was the group stage. When Remind was able to 2-0 Sauce and launch himself into a higher seed in the 8-player elimination bracket that followed from the opening rounds. So, let's go ahead and open this replay up. Again, this is Sauce vs. Remind. It's their Game 1, which took place on Twisted Meadows. You guys can go ahead and get this paused at the 15-second mark. Remind, by the way, is rapidly becoming one of my favorite Night Elf players. He sort of plays differently. You know, watching a Remind replay is very different from watching a Moon replay. Moon has, you know, some pretty dazzling tricks. He does some pretty neat things with, you know, macro decisions, crazy expansions, crazy unit combinations, just all sorts of bizarre stuff that he wins with. He's a real innovator when it comes to the Night Elf race. I feel like a lot of times Night Elf strategies are really just following in his footsteps, stuff that he created. But Remind just has really solid micro and timing, and he takes pretty standard strategies and makes them look really good. He just is. If you ever want to watch, you know, what it looks like to perfectly execute a strategy, Remind's probably one of the closer players you're going to get. He's pretty amazing to watch. So we'll go ahead and check out this replay from his perspective, and I'll tell you right now that what we're going to be doing with this particular commentary is talking about how if you are planning on going Demon Hunter early game, Demon Hunter Archers, to some sort of late game army, probably Bears is usually the standard in Night Elf Mirror, and you're confronted by a 2 Ancient of War Priestess. What you do. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with this. I've known a lot of Night Elf players who become very frustrated. They feel like, you know, all the pros are doing Demon Hunter, but when they play Demon Hunter and they come up against a Priestess, they just lose to the Huntresses. So I've always felt like there's something that the pros sort of knew, but the amateurs didn't, because you don't see the Priestess very often at the pro level. So why not? You know, why is the Demon Hunter the best choice? And Remind's a really great example of what you can do with the Demon Hunter Archer strategy. So we're going to take a look at this from his perspective, as he'll be the Demon Hunter player in this match. So again, we're paused at the 15-second mark, and we're going to unpause in 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. So this is again, we're covering this from Remind's perspective, and you can take a look at his base and see that he's starting with a standard racial hero build, as is Sauce. The other thing you'll notice is he's going for a quick Ancient of War creeping, which is an interesting choice in this matchup. Ancient of War creeping on Twisted Meadows for Night Elf is getting increasingly popular, I feel. And you'll notice that he even did a special build order where he sent a Wisp out to that to make that Ancient of War right away, just so he can make sure to get it done quickly. One thing, if you're a Demon Hunter versus Demon Hunter on this map, you are probably safe. They're probably going to start out either Ancient of War creeping themselves, or, you know, they'll come to harass you, but they won't have any units other than the Demon Hunter, so you can just root that Ancient and fight. But the dangerous part of the Ancient of War creeping is that if you're slow, they can get a Huntress there. if they go priestess, they'll have searing arrows potentially, and if you're slow about this, then they'll have a huntress too, in which case you'll be in a good deal of trouble. You're not going to be able to keep your archer alive. You'll have to send it straight home, and then it's going to get tricky to finish those creeps because they're going to be focusing your Ancient of War. If you root it back down, then all of a sudden you've lost a lot of ground. He can start focusing your Ancient of War, and you can get into a very bad position where he's actually killing your one building that's producing units, while he has huntresses pumping. So you need to be careful. If you're going to do this in Night Elf Mirror, do it quickly. Watch how Remind does it. And you'll see that he's got this underway and creeping before his hero even comes out. So you'll see that Sase does everything he can. His heroes as early as possible, and the priestess runs straight to the creeping. But Remind is still able to ensure the creep on the Null Overseer, ensure the kill rather on the Null Overseer, and have a pretty good shot at taking down those Null Wardens as well. So this is a good example of executing this Ancient of War creeping. And there's different philosophies to how you want to play an early game Demon Hunter versus a Priestess. A lot of players, if they scout a Priestess, which is not hard to scout, I mean obviously you see the Hunter's Hall and you know, and the late Ancient of War. A lot of players when they do that scout, they like to run the Demon Hunter straight to the Elf space. This, in my opinion, is somewhat of a risky move. It is entirely possible for a Night Elf player to construct their base in such a way that you will not really be able to do any damage no matter what they do. No matter what you do. And if you look at Sase's base, you can see that he built his second Moonwell early, and all of his wisps were sort of walled away behind that wall of buildings. If Remind had run straight to the base, he might have been able to put pressure on that constructing Ancient of War, but it might not have even been up yet. I'm not exactly sure when Sase started building it. But in any case, Sase could have just rebuilt it behind his wall of buildings, and there's nothing Remind can do. He can't cancel that Moonwell because it started early. He can't kill Wisp because they're behind the line, and he would have ended wasting a whole lot of time that he could have used to get some precious experience on the Demon Hunter. As I've mentioned before in commentaries, the Demon Hunter is not a particularly strong creeping hero early game, so if you can use that Ancient of War to get some experience on it, all the better. Demon Hunter gets exponentially better with levels. When you start stacking evasion and higher level mana burn, he becomes a veritable hero sniper, or killer, I should say. I guess he doesn't really snipe so much as he chases. But you want to make sure to try to get as much experience on him as you can when you can, so that Ancient of War creeping is a pretty good option on this map. So you can see what Remind's doing here. The trouble with going Demon Hunter archers against a Priestess is that the Demon Hunter in and of itself doesn't do a whole lot against the Huntresses. You know, he's